another episode of the Gold Country Media Sports Jam. I'm Jordan.
I'm Aaron.
I bet.
Christmas is come and gone. I think a few teams have gotten what they want on their Christmas list, but more importantly, how was your guys' Christmas? You got everything you asked for? Anyone travel anywhere? What was going on with Christmas for you guys?
Not a lot of traveling, mainly staying at home. And, on the day before Christmas Eve, so though that had been Friday, I have a tradition now ever since COVID where I decorate my car and then I drive out to all my friends' houses and drop stuff off. So I did that in the morning and then my dad's side of the family came over. So not a lot of traveling, but some good eating and got some good stuff. Yeah, I got some much needed clothes, got some other good stuff. So no complaints. It was a solid weekend.
All right, I like it. Matt, how about you?
Everything was great. Yeah, no travel for me. It was all here, and we hosted a couple events. So and as far as gifts, I mean, I got a lot of nice stuff, but I honestly didn't ask for anything. I like watching the kids open their stuff, so that's what it's about for me. So I had a good weekend.
Yeah,
I want to say if there's ever a weekend, I was going to say it wasn't even really a good weekend for travel. I think I saw something like over 100 million Americans were in like the cold winter storms, and a lot of people had their flights canceled and stuff. Probably can't even get back until today. I mean, I wouldn't want to be one of those people.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that are going to be celebrating Christmas today. I know.
Yeah.
I know. I've been seeing some people that I know that have gotten stuck in places, and some of them can't. Some of them keep booking flights, and then those flights getting canceled. My brother's girlfriend actually was supposed to be down in Texas, and she ended up spending Christmas with us because her flight got canceled, and she had nowhere to go for Christmas. So, we were like, well, we've got room here. So, it was a good Christmas. The best gift I got, I mean, this is just a sign that you're getting older, but I got this pretty awesome weed puller that pulls like crabgrass, and I'm just looking for an excuse to use this thing already. So, hey, good Christmas though, good little week. But we've had some action this week, and I know not a ton of action. So, kind of the outline of this show is going to be, we're still going to talk about where we were, some notable performances. We're also going to give some of our basketball predictions for the local leagues this year. But Aaron, let's start with where you were at this week, and what games were you checking out?
Yeah, so last Tuesday, I covered the 12 Bridges versus Pleasant Valley boys basketball game at 12 Bridges. The Rhinos actually kept it close early in the first half. Pleasant Valley is, I believe, the top ranked team in the northern section. I would say that you have to put everything in comparison. The northern section probably isn't quite as competitive as the Sac Joaquin section, but you have to factor in a lot of things, population, all different things. Regardless, Pleasant Valley is a really good basketball team. 12 Bridges stayed in there, only being down 31-29 at halftime. They actually tied the score 29-29. They lost some aggressiveness though offensively in the second half, and they only scored 17 points and ended up losing 70-46. Jacob Gilchrist, who's been the top scorer for the Rhinos all season, played another great game with 22 points, including 10 points in the first quarter alone. He really kind of took over. And for Pleasant Valley, Luke Kramer had 19, while Hayden Rick had 15. Another thing for the Rhinos, they kind of got crushed on the offensive glass, which hurt them as well. There was a couple times where there were some third chance opportunities. I have written down that once in the first half, there was even a fourth chance opportunity for Pleasant Valley. So just got to get a little bit more tougher on the glass. And, Coach Robert Ash, I've known him for what it feels like a decade now, and he said he feels like his team isn't bad. They're not a bad team, but they have good parts of practice, they have bad parts of practice, and they just need to work on getting more tough and physical. And unfortunately, I think that they've still got a good chance in the PVL. They are going to have another tough game, as I'll get into, another tough game on Monday. It's going to be against Rio Americano in the first annual Pavlicek Classic at home at 12 Bridges. But I think that, we talked about it a little bit last week. I think playing these games against these good teams is a good thing for you to kind of get a flow going into league, so you kind of have an idea of what these tougher teams will be. And then, you go into league play in the PVL, and you don't necessarily face as strong of those teams. Of course, Marysville's still going to be tough, but I think the Rhinos will be fine, especially when they get into league play. Wednesday, I was actually at 3 events. I checked out about half of the Granite Bay boys soccer game against Redwood, the Capital City NorCal Showcase at Whitney High. The Grizzlies lost 5-0. I will say, to put in context, while Redwood is a very good team, the Grizzlies also didn't have their top 2 scorers, likely because of it being finals week. I think Wednesday was the last finals day. Later that day in the evening, I went and saw Whitney in the same tournament face Sanger, which I believe is from Fresno, and they beat Sanger 2-0 with goals by Ryan McAdam and Cody Wagner, both in the second half. The Wildcats were able to play at to feet better, maintain possession a lot more, and created a lot of more solid opportunities in the second, the last 40 minutes of play versus the first 40 minutes. I think they should be a team to still watch out for once again as they look to defend the Sac Joaquin section and their NorCal crown from last year. After that, I zoomed over to Lincoln to watch the Lady Zebras basketball team face Cosumnes Oaks. This was a close game as I expected. I think last week on the show I said it'd be about 10-15 point game, and it ended up being, I think, 10-point game. But it wasn't the way I expected it to go down. Their top scorer, Zebra's top scorer, Katie Leith, got in foul trouble in the third quarter, got picked up her third foul about a minute in, sat basically the whole period. But freshman Issa Keto, the hero, the sharpshooter, stepped up and hit 6 out of 7 3-point shots and finished with 19. Leith also had 19 as she took over in the fourth quarter, while Hodge grabbed 17 rebounds. Taylor Hodge. Maya Hodge, her sister, junior sister, had 9.7 rebounds and 3 steals. Zebras are now 10-2, and they look more solid offensively than they did last season. I think they just need to improve their defense a little bit and take care of the basketballs. They still had 18 turnovers in the contest, but they still have a couple more games before they get into league play come the first of the year.
All right, I like it. Matt, throwing it over to you. I know you were checking out some tournament action this last week. Kind of talk to me about what you saw.
Sure thing. Yeah, this week, it's nearly every year. Folsom holds their Stan Harms Classic every year this week, and Oakridge girls hold their annual Trojan toss-up tournament. So they're playing against each other. So I can't get to all the games I want to. But anyway, I'm just going to talk about Oakridge, the toss-up right now. We'll get to the Harms later here. But Oakridge had a good tournament. They opened with a 45-33 win over Franklin. Then they had a disappointing loss to St. Francis, 53-47. I was not at that game. The only game I actually attended was the first one here, the one that we beat Franklin. And then Friday night, they finished the tournament, finishing in third place with a 60-45 win against Heritage. Anyway, talking to Coach White after the tournament, he was really upset Thursday with the loss to St. Francis. He felt his team should have won the game. They only lost. I mean, I looked at the score. Hey, they only lost by 6 points. They got a really young team. I thought he might be happy with that, but he was not happy with the effort, not happy with the intensity, not happy with most of what went on there, along with St. Francis celebrating on their home court. But the Trojans rebounded on Friday and beat a very good Heritage team by 15, and it was their best game of the season. And as upset as Coach White was Thursday with his team, he was very happy with them Friday with the way they played. He said that the effort and the intensity level was at an all-time high, and they communicated with each other. And when the team plays like that, when they play hard and they communicate and they have a high intensity level, Coach White said it allows him to coach the game the way he wants to coach it. And I kind of get what he's saying. I mean, if your team's kind of just out there, you can't really coach them. But if they're trying hard, they're willing to try things, willing to listen to you, then the coach can lead them in several different directions. Here's how we can win this game. And he said he loved coaching this game because of that intensity and effort that his team was putting out. And he was kind of mad at them because he goes, I know this team's had that effort and intensity with them all season long, but this is the first time I've seen it. So he's mad that it took him so long. What was it? I don't know, 12 games into the season for them to play like that. But anyway, he goes, now that I know that I've seen it, now that I know we can do it, he goes, that's what we can expect the rest of the way. So anyway, he was happy with that. Liv Jurgensen led the team with 20 points in that win over Heritage, and Jess Crannell scored 17. Ella Cottrell and Lauren Marsh both had 8, and Jurgensen and Crannell were all tournament selections for the Trojans. So now this week they're down in San Diego, along with the Folsom girls, and the Oakridge boys are down in San Diego too. So we'll see how they do down there. But I'll talk about the Harms after we hear from Jordan and Aaron again.
All right. Well, I was because we recorded on Tuesday last week and I hit 3 games on Monday. I actually only had 1 game last week since the last time we recorded, but that was a big one. It was Placer Colfax girls basketball. Colfax came into this one ranked 28th in the state by Max Preps and the number 2 team in Division 4 in the state, number 4 in the section overall. And it was actually the grand reopening of Placer's Earl Crabb Gym. It was being renovated. They polished the floors. They redid some stuff. They redid the locker rooms heavily. They vamped up the Hall of Fame there in the lobby, and it looks really good. And I'll be at Placer a lot this week, but I'll get to that in a little bit. And excuse me. But yeah, it was Placer came into this one and they were hot on Colfax's heels at first. They kind of, they had Colfax sweating it out. It was a single-digit game for most of the first half. And then sophomore Lorland Masick ended up hitting a pretty deep three-pointer at the buzzer to put Colfax up 28-17 at halftime, and it just wheels fell off the wagon for Placer from there. I don't know if I'd say the wheels fell off the wagon for Placer or if Colfax just put their wagon in turbo and just kept the foot on the gas. But something about that second half. I mean, I talked to Colfax's coach. He said Placer was a more aggressive team in the first half, but once we settled down and realized that we weren't playing our game, we were able to relax and play Colfax basketball. And they did just that in the second half. Macy Hyman scored 13 of her 15 points in the second half. She was lights out from three, sinking 3 of 4. She was also huge on defense. She held Placer's Amara Jackson, who's probably their top player, to just 8 points in the game. What makes Hyman so tough too is she's got the athleticism that she can guard a guard, but she's tall and she's long and she's got a good wingspan. So allows her to lock up a big man too if she needs to. And she had that. Kaya Diedrichs led all scorers with 18 in the game. They did make her work for it. She was only 5 of 16 shooting. And then Grace Clark actually had season high for Colfax with 13 points. And I mean, it's a tough game for Placer, but they're on a little bit of a down year. And I talked to Coach Tony Camelucci after the game, and he said, I'm proud of this team, and I'm encouraged with the way they played tonight because the score may not show it, but Placer really did, come in there and held their own against one of the teams that, I mean, I think most of us have, chalked in as competing for a section and even a state title this year. So I think Placer will take the result, even though it didn't look as pretty on the scoreboard, because if you were at the game, it wasn't as ugly as the score showed. And Colfax is going to have a tough test this week. They're going to the West Coast Jamboree in Walnut Creek. They open up with defending Division 5 state champion Sam Domenico, who's 10-1 right now. And those are two teams ranked currently in the top 50 of the state. And again, I talked to Simpton, and she kind of said, we've got to play tough teams to be challenged, and we want to go play these teams that are better than us, or that could be better than us, because it makes us better. And so far, I think they've held their own against some teams that I think a lot of people would think are better than them. So that was a big win for Colfax. I'm sure they love doing it on one of their bigger rivals' home floors in the grand reopening of the gym. And, I'll get to where I'm going to be next week, and a lot of that's going to be at Placer High. But Aaron, I wanted to throw it back to you and to you as well, Matt. And yeah, we'll finish up where we were at this last week.
Yeah, so I was going to be at the Sierra College men's and women's basketball games against American River. Didn't end up actually going in person because the times got changed kind of last minute, and I was already had kind of plans I made a week in advance with a friend for that. However, I did still cover that, and the men's basketball team lost 76-65. They are 7-7 right now. 3 of the last 3 losses, each of them, they have given up more points in the second half than the first half. So I think they just got to find a way to put together a full 40 minutes of basketball on the defensive front, and I think they'll be fine. Isaiah Duve has been playing well. And then for the women's team, they only had 6 players, actually. I mean, American River only had 7, but still, you only have 6 players. I can imagine how hard that is to manage minutes. And they still won by over 25 points, put up 73 points on the board. Granite Bay alum Juliana Cotterill has been playing really well for them. Christiane Carlisle, a Colfax alumna, has actually been playing really well too. So they are 8-6. Again, I think that in some ways, even though I think that the women's team over at Sierra is still going to be a good team and will compete in the Big 8, I don't expect them to have a big run in the postseason like they did last year. I think this is going to be a bit more of a rebuilding year and kind of trying to find where everybody is at. And then next year, I think that they can be back there once again. I know that they just got Bo Seipler from Rockland to commit there. So I know she was their top scorer, and she's going to be really good for them. And they always do a really good job of recruiting locally. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do. And hey, who knows? They might go on a run, and they might still make it far this year. I think they definitely have the coaching staff to do it. Brandy Mursch does a great job over there, and they definitely do have a lot of talent still. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do as the season continues.
All right, I like it. Matt, back over to you. More tournament action from you. What did you see?
Yeah, it was Folsom's first time at home this year after 9 games or 7 games, I guess. First home tournament, Stan Harms Classic, and the Bulldogs, made it to the championship game. They opened with a 77-30 win over Foothill, and then beat Ponderosa 62-41 with an impressive. Ponderosa was really strong last year. They have a good record this year, but Folsom handled them, by 21 points. So, easy win for the Bulldogs. And then the final, Folsom lost their first game of the season to Rio Americano by 3 points, 67-64. One thing about the Folsom matched up better with Ponderosa. Ponderosa is a bigger team, and Folsom has a lot of size this year. And they just, I think it was the difference between the two teams, the two games, was the matchups. They had guys they could guard Ponderosa's guys. Against Rio Americano had some shorter guys. Folsom was without their point guard, Micah Johnson, who's 5'10", 5'11", and Rio had some smaller guys that Folsom just couldn't contain. And, that led to, them, Rio Americano winning the game. Folsom was up by 6 with 6 minutes to go, but the last 6 minutes of the game, Rio just executed better down the stretch and won the game. All tournament selections went to Mitchell Rollins for the Bulldogs and Miles Jones. And I'll talk about Miles Jones here in a little bit when we go to the Athlete of the Week.
All right, I like it. And that kind of, that does it for me. So I guess we can use that as our segue into Athlete of the Week before we get into it. I've got 2 from my area, and one of them is Placer's Xander Esty, and it's nothing for what he did on the field, but he actually put pen to paper and is going to be going to Oregon State next year on a full ride football scholarship. He'll be blocking for Clemson's former quarterback, DJ Uiagalelei, or however you say the name. I'm a Florida State fan. We played him for years. I still can't pronounce the guy's name, but hey, good for him. A Division III school, and you're putting pen to paper at a Power 5 conference. I mean, that's impressive. So congrats to you, Xander Esty. And even a more impressive performance is Colfax's Melia Gustafson. Actually, just a sophomore, she actually placed 3rd place at the Future Champions Golf Tour National Championship. She was the highest placing American in it. She shot I believe it was, hold on, my leaderboard is it's collapsed a little bit, but she shot a 221 at Red Hawk over the weekend in the 63 player field. She also qualified for the World Championships in Palm Springs this upcoming summer. With it was her first time competing in a tournament like this, and she goes out and takes 3rd place at nationals. The only 2 people that beat her is a girl from British Columbia and a girl from New Zealand. So I guess technically you could still call her the national champion of the U.S. So 3rd place in the girls 15 to 18 division. Great job by her. And I know a lot of college coaches were out there. I actually talked to her and her mom the other day, and she was saying that, yeah, a lot of coaches were there, but no one can contact her till June 15th. But I'm here to tell you that maybe check your email that night, because I think you're going to have a few emails that come in almost right away the second they're allowed to contact you. So congratulations to her. Aaron, throwing over to you. Who are some of your athletes of the week this week?
That's going to be hard to top. That's very impressive. But yeah, I've got a couple. My Lincoln area athlete of the week is going to be Robbie Lloyd of Lincoln High Soccer. He scored 2 goals in a 3-1 win over Del Oro on December 17th. I think a lot of people going into the season looked at, Zach Giles to be the leader of that team. And well, in many ways, he still is. He already has double-digit goals and assists and is playing extremely well to start the season. Robbie Lloyd's actually outscored him. He has 11 goals and 4 assists for the Zebra soccer team and has just been playing great. Also, he recently committed to CSU Chico, so congratulations to him on that. I'm really interested to see what the team can do as they get into league play, because they're hungry. They got knocked out first round last year by Christian Brothers, and they were a lot better than that. They barely lost league to Placer. And I think that one loss they had to Placer was when Lincoln had like 3 or 4 of their top 4 or 5 players out. So I'm interested to see how far they can go. I think they're ranked like 6th in the section right now. So Robbie's been a huge part of that. South Placer athlete of the week still staying on soccer. Wood Creek soccer senior Lexi Schroeder. She scored 2 goals and wins over River Valley and Yuba City. Leads the Lady Timberwolves with 10 goals so far this season. They are currently 6-0, and she has been she's been on the varsity team since her freshman year, and they've actually won the league title each of the last 3 years. So they're going for their 4th in a row. But I've talked to the team, I've talked to the coach, the assistant coach. I've talked to Lexi. They have bigger goals in mind. They're going after a section title this season, and I think that from what I saw against Whitney, and just from what I've been seeing with these results that have been coming in, I think they're very much so equipped to do it, and really looking forward to seeing what they can do. But yeah, Schroeder's been a huge part of that, along with plenty of other players on that team.
All right. Matt, throwing over to you. Who were some of the best athletes you saw this week?
Yeah, Miles, back to Folsom. Miles Jones is a 6-foot freshman guard who's looked good this season, throughout. But the 2 games I saw last week, he's got a really nice shot. He made an all tournament team. He's hitting 46% from 3-point range, which is pretty good for a high school player, I think. He scored 14 versus Ponderosa in the semis and 22 versus Rio in the finals. And he can also get to the foul line, which is a good thing because he hasn't missed a foul shot this year. I don't know how many he's taken, but I know it's double digits, and he hasn't missed yet. So good free throw shooter, good shooter, for all that for a freshman. And Coach Wall's excited to have him for 3 more years after this.
All right, I like it. Now, I guess we're going to get to our special little segment. Some predictions for some of the basketball schools in the area for boys and girls. Now, I do want to preface this with saying, these are just predictions. So, hey, if you get upset about us not picking your school, you absolutely should. It's completely personal. We have vendettas. We have agendas to push. Clearly, we're targeting your school. If we pick you to finish last, it's because somebody from your school offended us personally. So that being said, Aaron, we'll start with you. I know you've got you guys have more leagues than I do to predict. And I'll throw in my hat in the SFL ring just for fun, but let's start with you and the SFL. What do you have coming for the boys and the girls there?
Yeah, so I'll do SFL, then we'll pass it over to Matt, and then you can go ahead and give your thoughts, and we'll kind of go by league. No pressure after what you just said. We'll go ahead and get into so SFL boys. So I will say I have so far seen Granite Bay. I have seen a half of Del Oro played, and I have seen Rockland. I have not seen Whitney yet. I plan on seeing them sometime over these next couple of weeks. But from what I've talked to the coaches, this is what I'm going to say. Folsom's going to win the league. I think that they're pretty clear-cut front runners right now. I'm going to go Whitney second, and I would not have said that 2 weeks ago, but after even though they lost to Del Oro in the Les Curry tournament, they only lost by a point. Whitney went down and they won a tournament down in Palma. I think they're a very good team. I think they've got a lot of depth. I think they're well coached. I'm going to go Whitney and then Del Oro right behind them. I think that's going to be a battle for second place right there. Rockland 2 weeks ago, I would have put Rockland in that second spot, but they went down, and they did face some really tough teams in the Clovis West tournament down in Central California. But I just don't think that I see quite as much out of them as I saw before. Lincoln actually put up a fight against them last week, and Lincoln's a great team. Don't get me wrong. Lincoln is going to be a probably battle for second place, in my opinion, in the FVL. But I think Rockland, it should be beating them by a little bit more than that as a SFL team. So I'm going to go Rockland fourth. Granite Bay fifth, and that's no disrespect to Granite Bay, that they've got some really great players with Iqub Mir and McKay Long from football is on the basketball team. He's a great rebounder for them. They've got a lot of great players, but it's just the SFL so top heavy. And then I'm going to go Oak Ridge in last. So that's for the boys, and then for the girls, once again, hard to pick against Folsom. I think they're a clear-cut front runner. One thing I'd be really interested to see, and I don't know if they would match up because I don't know if it'll be, Folsom would be D1, Antelope will be D2. I'd really be interested to see a Folsom Antelope matchup this year, and I'll get into Antelope with the CVC in a moment, but I think that'd be a really cool matchup to watch. But I'm going to go Folsom first, and then Whitney right behind them in second. I'll go Oak Ridge in third. I think Whitney and Oak Ridge will be battling for that second and third place spot. Then I'm going to go Del Oro, Granite Bay, and Rockland.
All right, I like it, Matt. Over to you. I'm guessing you've got a pretty consensus pick of I think most of us have pretty consensus of Folsom winning the SFL and boys and girls. But what are you thinking from the SFL?
Yeah, I think Folsom boys and girls will win both. And that, that's probably some bias, and it's probably because I mean, like, you know, we talk about predictions, and you were joking about, we have something against the teams we're picking last. But look, I've seen Folsom play, I've seen Oak Ridge play. On the boys' side, I've seen Granite Bay. I haven't seen Rockland. I haven't seen Whitney. Haven't seen Delaware. So I'm not coming here saying like I've seen all the teams. I know exactly how they're going to finish. So I go Folsom one, and to be honest with you, I looked at the non-league standings before we started the show, and it's kind of what I'm basing it on. So Whitney, I think, will finish second, and I heard heard a lot about Delaware being improved this year, and in the standings they are improved. So I'm going to say they're going to be third, and then again, that was like Aaron said, Whitney and Delaware will probably be battling out, and then I would say the second three, Oak Ridge, Granite Bay, Rockland, I think they're going to be battling for fourth place. And they can finish in any order. Oak Ridge could finish third, they could finish sixth. Rockland could finish sixth or finish fifth. Granite Bay's in there. So, and again, like we've talked about almost every sport, just because you're last in SFL doesn't mean you're a bad team. It's just someone's got to finish last. Girls side, Folsom, I think it would be a miracle really if they didn't win it. Oak Ridge and Whitney again. I'm picking Oak Ridge just because they're the team I follow, but Whitney could beat them. And then I'm going Del Oro, Rockland, Granite Bay to finish off the girls' side.
All right. I guess for my SFL stuff, I know I don't see it as much SFL basketball as I do SFL football, but I'm with you. I think Folsom's taking the league. And I also agree I think Whitney and Del Oro are gonna battle for that second place spot. I do think Whitney has the edge in it. And then I'm probably I'll go DO third. And then I think I'll go Rockland fourth, Oak Ridge fifth, Granite Bay sixth. But again, every one of these teams are a playoff caliber team. But like you said, Matt, someone's got to finish last. And, I just think that you almost have a little bit of a log jam after that 1 and 2 spot between, with everyone else. And it's going to be a good league. And then the girls, I'm going to go Folsom. I am going to give Oak Ridge the nod for second, and I'm solely basing that off of results against Colfax, and that is that Colfax beat Whitney by 14 a couple weeks ago, and when Colfax and Oak Ridge scrimmage, granted it was over the summer, it was a little bit closer from my understanding. Therefore, by my very in-depth journalism skills, I'm going to give the nod to Oak Ridge on that. Whitney's going to be close behind, and then I will go Delaware, Granite Bay, Rockland as well, Aaron. To round out.
One thing I'll say real quick that's interesting about all of our predictions, and once again, as I mentioned, no disrespect to the Granite Bay boys team, I think we all picked them fourth to sixth in any order. They made it to the section championship game last year against Grant in D2, and I was at that game. That just shows you how good the SFL is, that there's still a good chance that they don't finish in the top three, and we're talking about a team that made the section championship game last year and put up a fight against Grant. So, it's going to be a very exciting league to watch.
But another thing I want to say is, for the exception of maybe the Folsom girls, I mean, on any given day, any of these teams, I mean, we're picking Granite Bay and Rockland to finish last. Any of those teams can beat any other team in this league on any given night. So,
oh yeah, and kind of throwing down a little bit of the smaller schools now. Let's go to the FBL. And I know we've got some. That's another one, especially in the boys. It's going to be a bit of a log jam at the top. Aaron, do you want to kick us off? What do you think is going to be happening in the FEL?
Yeah, I think me and you have pretty similar thoughts, at least on the boys' side. I'm gonna go Placer to win it. Placer, I think, has really kind of raised some eyebrows in the area with how well they've started out the season, and I just think, the players are really up for the season, especially with, it being Lee's final year as coach. And it would be a really good feel-good story, too, is that, if they at least won a league title and at least made some sort of run into the postseason. But I don't think anybody's going to beat them. I could see Lincoln or Pondo potentially grabbing a game from Placer. But I think it's quite possible you have Placer going like 9-1 in league. So I'm going to go with Placer winning the league. I went back and forth on this, and I do think that they're pretty much probably going to be tied. I could see them both going 7-3 and splitting against each other. But I'm going to go Lincoln over Pondo. I know Pondo has, played some good games. I know they fought hard against Folsom. Lincoln has had a pretty solid record to start the year, and even though a couple games I've seen, they haven't exactly played the strongest, and that was against Wood Creek and Western Sierra. They have found ways to hang in ball games. They have found ways to win ball games, and I think that if Benny Jomo can continue to play solid, I think if they can get some good production off of their bench, I think that they could be a scary team from the outside looking in that can definitely pose a little bit of a threat going into the postseason. So I'm going to go with Lincoln over the edge of Pondo, but I think that could go either way. And then I'm going to go West Park fourth. They are a vastly improved team from last year, in my opinion. Then I'll go Oakmont. Then I'll go Nevada Union.
All right.
Oh, and then I guess I should get into girls too.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's go.
I was talking so much about the boys.
I'll get both mine.
So yeah, I'll get into the girls too. Ironically, if you look at Max Prep's rankings, Pondo is actually ranked above Lincoln right now. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Lincoln is going to take this league 10-0. I don't think anybody's going to pose a threat to them personally. Like I said, there are some things. I don't think they're quite as good of a defensive team. They need to find ways to take care of the basketball. But right now, like the way I look at it is, they're not quite as good defensively, but they're better offensively, which almost cancels itself out. To me, they're very similar to last year's team in many ways. I would say right now they're a team that would win the league, would go to the section finals, and probably lose to Vanden. That I literally see the same exact path as last year. It's just a matter of how far they make it in the NorCal playoffs. But we'll have to see. But I'm going to go Lincoln winning it. Then I'll go Ponderosa. West Park vastly improved. They are 8-3 right now. I'll get into them in a little bit because I'm actually going to be seeing them later tonight. I'll go Placer fourth, and then Oakmont. I think West Park, Placer, and Oakmont will all be in a battle for third, and then Nevada.
All right. I guess I'm very similar to you on the boys side. I'm gonna go Placer winning it all. If you asked me about 2 weeks ago, I would have had Pondo winning it, but I'm giving the nod to Placer from what they've done. I actually do have Pondo in second over Lincoln. I think those two can be interchangeable. I wouldn't be shocked if they tie for second. I haven't seen either team in person yet. For me, what it comes down to is the games at Ponderosa hasn't had an impressive result as I expected. I still think are more impressive than the games at Lincoln hasn't had as good of a result as I expected, if that makes sense. So I'll give that nod to Ponderosa. I wouldn't be shocked if those two teams split their head-to-head matchups. I wouldn't be shocked if both those teams go 7-3 in league. I'm going to give West Park the number 4 finish. I think that big they have, Teles Torre. He's going to be a problem. West Park, a young team. I think they're going to make some noise. I wouldn't be shocked to see them as a playoff team. Oakmont, I've gotten 5th, and then Nevada Union in 6th. And what's funny is Nevada Union actually, they are 8-6 right now, and I'll be seeing them this coming week. But Nevada Union's not a bad team. Oakmont's not a bad team by any means. But again, that's another case of the league is just so good that I just don't see much, coming out of it. And then much parity, I guess, and many bad teams in it. For the girls' side, I'm with you. I've got Lincoln winning the league. Ponderosa has had a great preseason. I think they're going to come back down to earth because I have them finishing second. But I just think it's Lincoln's league to lose. They're too good of a team, too loaded on that side. I've got West Park finishing 3rd as well. Then I've actually got Oakmont over Placer in it. I think they could be a little bit interchangeable with that. Just Placer, I know they're a young team. A lot of the players on the team, basketball is not their number one sport. And I think in the end that, you have 1 or 2 players that is their main sport, but hey, one injury, a flu bug, anything like that can really have things, kind of teetering. And with a long season and a grueling league season, I just feel like it might just not be Placer's year. And then I got NU rounding it out. But let's move back to Matt. Let's move to your area with the since you're the only one, I guess, that has the Capital Athletic League. Let's go to you. What do you got from those leagues?
Yeah, well, obviously Vista's in that league, and that's the only team that I have. So, Vista the Vista girls won the league last year. And Coach Benjamin, he's a buddy of mine, and I'm picking him to win it again. But he's got his hands full with Christian Brothers, and he knows it. So I'm not picking him against Coach Benjamin, but he's going to have to prove that that's a team to beat right there. So, I think this is going to finish first or second on that side, but I'm picking them to finish first. The boys, Vista boys, I mean, that's, the Capital Athletic League is a top heavy league. There's no, I mean, Cap Christian and Sacramento are perennial powers. So they're up there 1 and 2, no matter what. And then you go with the rest of the schools, and Rio's looked really good, and Christian Brothers is normally pretty good. So that's, 2 more teams right there. So that's 4 pretty strong teams. And then you have Del Campo, Vista, and El Camino at the back end. So, I mean, I think if Vista, if everything goes right, they can finish 5th. Maybe 4th, but from what I've seen, I'm saying they're going to finish 5th or 6th.
I agree with most of what you have. I think the only thing I would change is I think Rio boys they have a chance to win the Capital Athletic League. I think Capital Christian is going to be very tough, but I think Rio boys have a good shot. They've faced some really tough teams in the preseason with Jesuit. They've faced some really tough teams against Folsom, and Jesuit beat them by roughly about, I want to say, like 20, but they hung in there for a bit against Folsom. They've hung in with some good teams. I could definitely see them posing a threat, but I think Capital Christian is going to be tough for sure. I think that'll be a really good battle.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, to be honest, full disclosure, I didn't look at Real American Scott. I didn't look at their schedule. I know they're 9-1, but I just, just off the top of my head, Capital Christian, Sac High, I just put them up there. So, you very well could be right.
I like it. And, like I said earlier, that just means that you like Capital Christian Sac High better because, as I said, these are personal and we have vendettas against schools that we don't pick. Aaron, since I know we've got, we've still got some more to hit and we're kind of low on time, how about if I throw over to you for the CVC and the SMAL, how about we just kind of power through maybe a little bit of analysis. We'll power through those and then give our PVL stuff before we talk about where we're going to be this week and wrap it up. How's that sound?
Sounds good. Yeah. I'll make it quick for the CVC boys. I don't have much of stuff to say. I've seen Wood Creek's boys play, and I think that they'll be really good. But I'm going to go Intercom winning that league. I'll go Wood Creek finishing 2nd, then Antelope. So I think those will be the top 3 there. I have Roseville finishing 5th in that league ahead of River Valley and Yuba City. For CVC girls, I know I said this for football and I was semi-wrong, but I really mean it for basketball. Nobody's going to stop Antelope and Mary Carter. That is a team that lost in the section championship last year, and I expect them to win the section championship this year and make a run into the state playoffs. So give me as follows. Give me Antelope 1, Wood Creek's vastly improve with Ryan Nair and a bunch of other talent that they have. So I'm going to go Wood Creek 2nd. Intercom 3rd. I've got Roseville finishing 6th ahead of River Valley. So that's the CVC, and then I'll go to SMAL here. I do think for the boys, it's going to be between Valley Christian and Sac Adventist. That's going to be a really good battle. I'm going to take VCA in that one, and then Sac Adventist and Buckingham Charter. I'll go Western Sierra in 4th. For the girls, Valley Christian, in my opinion, should run away with it. I'll go Sac Adventist in 7, I think, or 2nd place. I think Sac Adventist's coach, actually, I think it's his last year's head coach, if I'm not mistaken. I'll go Faith Christian in 3rd, since they still have the Harris sisters, and Audrey Harris is going to play extremely well. And then I'll go Western Sierra in 4th, which is going to be a little bit improved from last season. But I think Valley Christian is going to be even though they'll be in D5 playoffs, I expect them to make a run for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I saw Valley Christian's girls. They were impressive. And then I'm really actually looking forward to that Wood Creek and Intercom battle in the boys. I do think Intercom's a better team, but those are 2 great basketball schools. I think that's going to be some fun games to watch when they meet up.
Agreed.
And Aaron, let's, I guess, wrap it up with the PVL. We'll start with you. What do you see happening in our small, I guess not our smallest league because we got the SMAL, but one of the smaller leagues out here?
Yeah. So for the boys, I mentioned a little bit earlier, I think it's going to be a battle between 12 Bridges and Marysville. One thing I will say about 12 Bridges is, even though they've, lost 5 games and, they lost by 24 last week, they have not had Kellen Collier or Jonah Gilchrist in the lineup yet. Those were 2 really good players last year over at Lincoln, Jonah being on JV and Kellen actually getting some time at the varsity level, which is going to be good for him to start as well. They have, of course, had to have the sit out period because of the transfer rules. So I'm going to take Marysville for now, but I'm really interested to see what 12 Bridges can do once they get on the court. So I'll go Marysville first, then 12 Bridges, then Bear River and Colfax. For the girls, how can you pick against Colfax? They're going to probably go 10-0, and they're going to be a force in the state playoffs, as we mentioned. I'll go Colfax 1, Marysville 2, then Sutter, then 12 Bridges and 4.
All right. I like it. For the boys, I think I'm in agreement with you. I've got Marysville winning it. And I've got 12 Bridges taking 2nd. And I kind of just said, take your pick for the rest. I think the rest of that league is very evenly matched. outside of the 1 and 2, and I wouldn't be shocked if you see those teams really battling out for that third place spot. And Colfax has shown some light this year. They've also had some rough times. Bear River, same thing. But yeah, and I mean, I don't know a ton about Sutter basketball and Wheatland, but I think it really is going to be a battle between Marysville and 12 Bridges. For the girls, I put it as Colfax, very big gap. Marysville, Bear River, and 12 Bridges. I think Marysville's got the nod for second place. I think Bear River and 12 Bridges will battle it out for third. I saw Bear River last week, actually. They're not what they were last year, but I mean, they won a Division 5 section title last year, but they are bringing some players back. They're bringing some depth players back from that team. And the thing is, now those depth players are being thrown into starting roles. They were kind of still figuring some stuff out, but they've been starting to hit their stride a little bit. I think once league comes, they're going to open some eyes and remind some people that, hey, we are still the defending D5 section champs. But I just think Colfax is just on another level. I think they could finish top 2 or top 3 in the SFL. And I think Marysville is just a better team than Bear River and 12 Bridges. And then again, after, you get to 12 Bridges, I think that little pool of, Wheatland, Sutter, they just kind of can handle it out themselves. But I think it really is Colfax's league to lose. And I'd be shocked if they lose a league game, let alone don't finish first. So, I mean, that's going to do it for at least our predictions. I know we've got a big week coming up. Aaron, let's start with you. Where are you going to be this week?
Yeah, so the West Park Girls Tournament is taking place, and I will be at the West Park game tonight. It's Fairfield and West Park. As I just mentioned, West Park's 8-3. One thing you do have to look at is, obviously the quality of opponents they have faced. They lost to Cosumnes Oaks by, I think, over 30 points, while the Zebras beat them by 10. So that shows you a little bit of the gap right there. It's important to look at. But, West Park still, I think, vastly improved since last season. They're coached by Carly Waddell, and their assistant coach was actually the head coach of the boys team last season, Coach Lloyd. I'm looking forward to watching them tonight. I think that'll be a game they should win against Fairfield. And then on Thursday, I'm really looking forward to this one, even though it's probably going to be out in the rain, and I don't know how I'm going to write my stats down for it, but it's going to be Lincoln's girls soccer team facing Rockland's girls soccer team at Lincoln. It'll be interesting to see what the attacking front of Lincoln with Alicia Ozagueda, Avery Aronson, and Alicia Reyes, a ton of great players for Lincoln can do against Shannon Perubsky in goal. She's one of the better goalkeepers probably in the entire area. Rockland's got a solid attack as well. I think that should be a really good game to watch. So I'm looking forward to that one. I'll probably pick Rockland for now 2-1, but I think it could go either way. And yeah, those are pretty much the only things I'm hitting this week, because I'm going to go see the Kings with my friend on Friday night.
All right, I like it. Matt, what about you? Where are you going to be?
Well, the only teams I have around here is Vista Boys are playing at Roosevelt's tournament, so which goes Monday through Wednesday. They already won last night, and they play Union Mine at 3:00 today. So I'm going to check that out, and depending on what their game is tomorrow, I may see their final game. So that's where I'll be.
All right, I like it. I will be at the Kendall Arnett tournament at Placer High School. It's the 80th annual Kendall Arnett. Some people actually say it's the oldest, not only the oldest annual high school basketball tournament in California, but the oldest west of the Mississippi. So, there's claims that'll be a fun one. There's some good opening round matchups. Placer takes on Bear River Wednesday night. Del Oro actually plays Rio Americano at 5, so I'm going to be heading over early, checking that one out. But yeah, it should be a great tournament. Placer won it last year with a huge comeback win over Del Oro. There's some good talent there, though. Foothill Palisadro's up there. Del Campo's there, another solid team. So it'll be a good couple of days of basketball up in Auburn, and that's kind of going to be where I'm at this week. And that kind of just about does it for what we've got for this week's show. Before we wrap this up, does anyone have anything we want to add?
I have a question, which you may or may not. You don't have to answer it if you don't want to, but you have a prediction for the championship game in that tournament? Who's going to be in it?
I'm trying to think of the bracket off the top of my head.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to say Placer Rio Americano.
Okay.
I think the winner of the Del Oro Rio Americano game is going to go to the championship. So we could get a Placer DO final again.
That's what we had last year, right?
What was that?
That's what we had last year, if I'm not mistaken.
That's what we
right?
had last year was Placer Dio. There is a chance Elsinore can make some noise. It's actually kind of cool. It's Elsinore's first time up here. I guess the league they're in down there in SoCal for basketball is kind of the equivalent of what the SFL is for football. Just top to bottom, like the league is stacked. It's one of the better leagues in the state. And Elsinore is actually Coach Mark Lee's alma mater, and it's her first time at the Kendall Arnett for his final year. But Placer, I think it'll be a close game if they end up. I imagine they're going to meet up in the semifinal. I still will give the nod to the Hillman just because they're the hosts. They're going to have that environment and that they have a good student section. I just think they're going to pull through with that. So I'll say Placer Rio Americano for the final.
All right.
All right. And Aaron, I know you were trying to say something earlier. It looked like your mic was muted.
Yep.
What were your
I
thoughts?
usually don't have that issue. No, I was just gonna say I hope everybody has a safe and happy New Year out there. I hope everybody has a great weekend once again with family, and yeah, stay safe.
All right. Thank you very much. And we appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year, whatever it is you celebrate. I hope you enjoyed it. So thank you very much for tuning in. We will see you next week.